Hello, my name's Bob Willis and welcome to Winnie TV. This is the first interview I've been doing at the show, and it's a pleasure to introduce a gentleman from Weller who I've actually met before a couple of years back. Perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I will. Thank you for the opportunity, Bob. My name is Philippe Buidin, and I'm the a leader of the Weller organization within the ATG group. That's who I am. Been there for 9 years now. So
okay, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I mean, Weller is a name that I grew up with. I made my very first training video using your tools, and
fantastic.
And I can always remember doing desoldering on a printed circuit board as a demonstration, turning the board upside down, and the components fell out. And people said that you can't show that because you desoldered it. It looked like magic. And with no disrespect, I mean, it's not the tool in that particular case, but it just signifies that showing what can work, what can't work, I think is very, very important. But the one thing that I was impressed by the last time we met was the amount of, or the requirement from some of your customers in terms of information that providers of soldering equipment have to make available. And this is for traceability. I'll be interested in that.
Well, you say a lot of very interesting things. The first one is the history of Weller, which is great, and I love it. And I joined only nine years ago, compared to 70 more years of experience in this organization. And you can't live in the past, so we need to make sure we bring on the right things for the challenges of tomorrow. So. To come back on the second part of what you were saying, for us what is critical is voice of the customer. You probably heard that from a lot of people in this industry. Actually, we need to make sure that whatever we produce tomorrow is exactly what the customer is looking for. Well, if I have to highlight one of the strengths within our Weller organization, is this customer intimacy we have. And then the understanding of all of the challenges that these guys are meeting every day in electronic manufacturing. Their pain points. That's what we need to understand, that's what we want to understand, and then we bring the solution for those pain points. If I look into the last product we introduced, which is WX Smart, which is allowing you to do a series of things beyond just soldering, I do remember very well going back to one of our customers who gave us kind of a, how should I call it, a shopping list of expectation and challenges and saying, well, you know what, in your next generation of high-end product, we need all of that. And we went back to this customer. It's a very famous EMS, and one after the other, my product manager during the presentation was able to tick every single box. Now, I say that, of course, because I want to put my product forward and say all of the features that you can expect are there. But more important, is it answering the challenges or providing a solution to the customer who came to us and say, hey, those are the issues we have, those are the things and the challenges we have today, help us. To go back and have a tick in the box in everything, and more than that was for us the best demonstration that it was the right product with the right feature for the customer.
But can I ask you which particular market? I would assume it will be the guys, the high reliability guys, the automotive manufacturers who'd want that detail, or is it the contract manufacturers needing that detail because their customers are insisting on it?
Exactly, and that comes back to the traceability, I think, which is one of the expectations that our end customers actually have, and they funnel that through their electronic manufacturing service suppliers. So that's one of the elements that we decided to look at and have embedded in our latest product, the WX Smart. It allows you to track and trace almost everything that you do with the station. We embedded intelligence in every element of the soldering solution, from the station, obviously, but through the tool and up to the tips themselves. We have embedded intelligence and electronics in the tips, so that at any moment in time, do you know what is happening with this PCB you're soldering, repairing, or whatsoever. At every moment in time, do you know who is the operator, when he was operating, what kind of a tip he was using, what kind of a tool, what kind of a station, and all of that can be nicely forwarded back to the ERP system for further information, data, and traceability by the end user. So that's one of the elements or this detailed information that we try to provide our end users with.
Well, I've always found that training operators with hand soldering, desoldering, rework and repair has been far more demanding than training production engineers, because they want to know how to do it faster or better. You know, how can they improve? How can they get more out of the tools they're using? As opposed to the engineer, generally speaking, perhaps doesn't have some of the skills the operators do, but they're the ones that must have given you a lot of feedback over the years on positives and negatives.
Well, one of the critical elements is to make sure that your tool is easy to use. And some people say, for example, that our WXMart, the product I was referring to, which is our high-end solution, is complex. Well, actually it's not complex. It's feature-rich, but it's extremely easy to use. So we, on that particular topic, what we made sure of is that the way you handle it is just like you would handle a smartphone. Swipe and get to the right menu that you need to operate the station easily. As an operator, as a plant manager, as a line manager, it's extremely easy to use these tools nowadays.
Okay, I mean, just two kind of questions. One, sure, is an obvious one you know I'm going to ask you about. But the first one is, you know, what's happening in the market in terms of low temperature solders? You know, what are you seeing? A lot of questions, an interest?
Yeah, that's maybe a question that is more for my product guys. I'm not really sure I would be able to provide you with a good answer. We see some questions, but to measure exactly how big the interest is in low temperature soldering is a difficult one for me to answer.
One of the reasons I ask is that I have to go back to manuals with the tools that I have,
yes,
to reset them, to change the set points, peak temperature and lowest temperature for cutouts. So I'm interested in that, but I don't really see too much difficulty in using low temperature solders with soldering irons. The other question I have to ask is, you know, what do you see in the growth on robotic soldering?
So I believe that there is always going to be hand soldering. And obviously that's the kind of answer you would expect from a hand soldering manufacturer. But I see still a series of applications where obviously hand soldering makes a lot of sense and will continue to make a lot of sense in the future. Robotic soldering, we see, if I look at the global demand, we see China obviously in the first place asking for automated, or I should say robotic soldering solution versus hand soldering. There's a lot of reasons for that. I think the availability of labor is one of the elements. For them it's very difficult to find operators, and they would like to replace them as much as possible with robotic soldering. In general, we see indeed this automation growing faster than hand soldering. Doesn't mean hand soldering is not growing, continues to grow.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We have some nice care on both, but it's growing faster than hand soldering, obviously.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming along. Thank you very much for answering the questions, and it's a pleasure to see you again, and hopefully you have a fabulous show.
Thank you, you too, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.